Welcome back to BLOCKTV. This world of ours, more specifically this cryptosphere of ours, is full of creators, from musicians to video creators to artists. Now the last of those are in no short supply, but few compare to Brekkie Von Bitcoin, a man whose crypto art seemingly knows no bounds. From posters to jewelry to apparel, it seems like he's got his finger in a lot of artsy pies. Now here to discuss his artistic career is the artist himself, Brekkie Von Bitcoin. Hello, Brekkie.
Thanks for having me on BLOCKTV. I'm honored to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So let's jump right in. What inspired you to start making crypto-themed art in the first place?
So I was actually inspired by some of the other crypto artists in the space. People like Nanu Burks and Lucio Paletti, who goes by Hodl Crypto. I became friends with them just through the social media scene, and they encouraged me. And I was actually between jobs, and I was like, I need to do something. And so I kind of rediscovered my passion for creating artwork, and here we are.
Okay, so you're saying that like you were actually in a low, artistically speaking, and this kind of like revitalized that, or like what is your experience with art in the past, like before this this all began?
Sure. Well, my background is in filmmaking, so I was a film producer, and I kind of got into that because I wanted to be, creative, and I just found things moved way too slowly, and it wasn't creative enough for me. And then I kind of got bit by the crypto bug, and I did kind of a lot of things. I made lots of videos, and like this thing called Blockchain Morty that I'll probably get sued for making at some point. Yeah, and then like basically somebody wanted me to host a crypto TV show, and that kind of fell through because of the bear market. And before I found my latest job, I'm working at a crypto fund as their creative director when I'm not making art. I just kind of just dove in, and to me, I'm obviously like people would call me a Bitcoin maximalist, and I love Bitcoin, and my last name is Von Bitcoin. So I decided that, what better way to kind of combine my passions than, to make artwork that kind of pushes Bitcoin forward. Right.
Okay, interesting. So you made your way into a fairly niche community. And when you're working with such a niche community, I can imagine that selling merchandise to those within it could either be the easiest thing or the hardest thing in the world to do. So what has your experience as an artist within the Bitcoin space been like? Like, what is your interaction with followers, response, people who are buying from you?
It kind of comes and goes with the markets.
Okay.
I'm not so much focused on selling merchandise. It was more like, at the time there wasn't a lot of merch that I wanted to wear. So I was like, I'm just going to make the things that I want to wear, and hopefully some people will buy them. And enough people buy it that I keep the site going. But now I'm more focused on kind of more like sculptures and fine art. So still putting T-shirts out here and there when I feel like it. But there are so many people who focused exclusively on T-shirts. Can I shill a competitor? Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, I guess so. Just shit right on them,
No, shill. I want to talk.
Go ahead.
Layer1btc.com. They make this awesome toxic shirt. Because we're all so toxic in Bitcoin.
So listen, as a merch, you create this merch, all right? You're known for it, I suppose. But like, is there a balance between how inside baseball you get? Because you're wearing this shirt that you're shilling out for your competitors here. Any old body could wear that, not necessarily tied to Bitcoin. If I didn't know you were a Bitcoin dude, I wouldn't associate, right? So like, what is your experience with that creative balance between the idea of like, oh yeah, this is an in-joke versus this is something that you could actually feel comfortable wearing without having to explain,
I mean, that's kind of an interesting question. I think it kind of varies. Like sometimes I'm the cliche. I'm that guy who's wearing a crypto shirt, a Bitcoin shirt, like every day of the week, just so that I'm a walking billboard. And sometimes it's more of a funny inside joke, like a toxic shirt, or sometimes it's just something that, reminds people that Bitcoin is still out there. So I don't know. I'm definitely an advocate for wearing Bitcoin clothing. If that's your thing, then go for it.
Fascinating. Okay, so you spoke a little earlier. You mentioned that there are some people who focus entirely on, t-shirts and merch and stuff like that. Meanwhile, you're having a personal renaissance, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I perused your site, and I noticed that with John McAfee, you've created something called a lot of McAfee merch, where you sell assorted merchandise related to the eccentric billionaire. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience working with Mr. Jonald McAfee?
Sure. So I have to give credit to another artist who goes by a lot of money on Twitter and I think Instagram also. So all of that artwork and merchandise was actually designed by him. I've ported it over to the items, and I kind of helped them with some design choices. But John was, he put out some feelers on Twitter, and he said, I need someone who can handle the drop shipping and the business side of things. And I was just like, this is a strange opportunity, doesn't come around too often. Let's reach out. And next thing I know, I'm on the phone with John, and kind of contrary to the what he puts out there, it was one of the most normal phone calls I've ever had. He's a great businessman. He's for all intents and purposes, a nice guy. So so far so good.
Fascinating. You couldn't smell the cigarettes wafting through the phone or anything.
No, definitely.
Okay, fascinating. So, all right, so so you mentioned that at the very beginning, you gained your interest based on other artists in the space, right? So, take that and extrapolate, pay it forward. What advice would you give to somebody who's trying to, kind of break into this kind of specific niche space, this artistic space in the crypto sphere? What would you present to them?
I would just say go for it. I love creating. Part of a lot of the art I do is experimenting with new materials and just having fun. And if that's what you want to do, go for it. And I think it's such we're so early in Bitcoin, and it's such a small world, the art scene in crypto, that I think anyone can make a name for themselves if they put themselves out there and they make something different or cool. There aren't that many artists in crypto. There's a lot of them, sure, but there's so much creativity and everyone's doing different things. And I don't think that we're even close to a saturation point. There was actually a guy who, I don't know what was wrong with him, but he basically was trolling me on Twitter, and he was making fun of my art and saying, "Look at my art." And I turned around and I said to him, I was like, "Look, man, we're creating the artistic market share in Bitcoin. It's not a zero-sum game when it comes to art, I think, because creativity is kind of limitless. So I say go make some art, reach out to me and to the other artists, because they'll be incredibly helpful, and it's a very nice community.
So you say it's not a zero-sum game, but I know you have to be sitting there shaking in your boots a little every day when you notice that you're in such a small pond with such a big fish artist such as myself and my work that's featured on BLOCKTV's Art of the Chart. Now, I'm sure that you've seen every episode and that you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the question is, can I count on you for a future collaboration?
Anytime, but you guys got to fly me out. I want to come to Israel. I want to be in the studio.
Very well. It's acceptable. We'll make it happen. So speaking of, you mentioned that you're kind of going through this kind of maturation of your own artistic stylings, right? You're moving into sculpture, things like that. Can you give me a little more information on your current and even future artistic ventures?
Sure. So a lot of the art that I've sold, I've had a couple of commissions from, some crypto companies, things that they actually haven't released it yet. So I have a commission with Wax, that hopefully is coming out soon. But the rest of the stuff, I've kind of kept it, it's literally sitting all right behind me. I've been working on a bunch of show pieces. I'm going to be putting together my own show here in LA. I've been basically scouring my network for people who are art collectors, and there are a lot of art collectors who are Bitcoiners, which is nice. So I'd say within the next month or two, I'm hoping to put out about 10 show pieces that most people haven't seen yet. And we'll see where that goes. But
making
fingers
that
crossed.
sweet crypto dash. Well, listen, I have to thank you for coming on, Brekkie. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. And that is all the time that we have for now. My name is Zachy Hennessy, and you are watching BLOCKTV.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.